When two scientists, one of whom was a Nobel laureate, announced to the whole world the essence of their discovery in the field of quantum physics, both the scientific and the spiritual community were amazed. This was perhaps the first event in the history of mankind when skeptics who deny the existence of the afterlife and those who believe in it found a common point of contact. Most importantly, both of them can now receive scientific confirmation that the hope for a posthumous existence is not in vain and is a very real and natural fact that does not contradict the very nature of the universe. Watch this video to the end, and you will find out why the scientists' statement was so shocking and why the evidence they brought to support their words so excited both materialists and religious people. You will also understand why these researchers believe that they have scientifically proven the existence of the soul and what they mean by it. For a long time, the scientific community was divided into two warring camps: those who adhered to strict materialistic positions and completely denied the existence of the soul and life after death, and those who allowed such a possibility and were not afraid to explore this area, despite the ridicule of colleagues. However, with the advent of new technical capabilities and the development of quantum physics, an increasing number of professors and academics are forced to admit that the otherworldly space can no longer be considered a myth, and it should be thoroughly studied. Two prominent scientists, Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist, neuroscientist, professor of medicine and psychology, theoretical physicist, and member of the Center for the Study of Consciousness at the University of Arizona, and Roger Penrose, a mathematician PhD and winner of the 2020 Nobel Prize in Physics, decided to pursue this research. If such renowned scientists, internationally recognized authorities, claim to have proved the existence of the soul and the afterlife, their words should be listened to. When starting to study the phenomenon of life after death, Hameroff and Penrose reasoned as follows: before finding out how real the otherworldly space is, where the soul enters after the cessation of mortal existence, it is necessary to determine whether it really exists. Without an answer to this question, the topic of the afterlife loses all meaning. If a soul exists, the probability that it will continue its journey after death is very high. Otherwise, why is it needed? Having determined that the soul is the key to the entire theory of the afterlife, scientists have begun research, trying to understand what it can be. However, not at the level of mythological or religious beliefs, but as an objective physical phenomenon that can be felt, figuratively speaking. Quantum physics helped them find answers to these and other questions. In its development, it has reached the limits where it inevitably comes into contact with deep esotericism, becoming the evidence base for those principles that mysticism and spiritual practices adhered to many thousands of years ago. After conducting research, Hameroff and Penrose created the so-called quantum theory of consciousness, which allowed them to understand what the soul is and why life after death is not only possible, but most likely mandatory for the functioning of the universe. They came to the conclusion that the human brain is a kind of quantum computer, and the consciousness that controls it is something like software. But what is all this for? Scientists believe that the goal is to accumulate information at the quantum level. It is this information that is what is called the soul. And the most curious thing is that this approach does not contradict either quantum physics or spiritual traditions, which always emphasize that the soul, passing through earthly life, must gain a new experience, with which it will then return to higher spheres of being. Since the soul is a concentrate of information and energy essence and has a subtle nature, it cannot be destroyed. Therefore, after the body perishes, the soul continues its existence, which can last indefinitely. From this point of view, the separation of the soul from the flesh no longer looks as fantastic as it might seem at first glance. Hameroff himself, in one of his interviews, said, "I am an anesthesiologist with 40 years of experience. My job is to take away a person's consciousness and bring it back. So believe me, I understand what I'm talking about." Many people who returned from the dead confessed that their soul could not go on because someone or something stopped it, under the pretext that it had not yet received the experience it needed on Earth. Now these stories take on a new meaning. Figuratively speaking, in this case, a person's quantum batteries have not yet been filled with the necessary information and energy, and therefore he must refuel them. So, the soul does not disappear after the death of the physical shell, but returns to the universe again. The fact that it is an information-energy structure explains the most typical vision that accompanies death, namely, flying through a long tunnel in the direction of bright light. This is the movement of information through the quantum channel to its original source. But where is a person's soul while he is alive, and how does it leave the body? Scientists believe that the soul, as quantum information, is located in the intracellular protein structures that form the cytoskeleton of each cell, which are also called microtubules. When the moment of death comes, the microtubules are released from the information accumulated in them. This process occurs when the heart stops supplying blood to the brain, and the microtubules seem to discharge. However, the information collected in microtubules does not disappear, but goes into space, literally pouring into it. Scientists believe that the soul is woven from the very fabric of the universe, that is, it is an organic part of it. This, again, does not contradict either modern science or mystical traditions and religious beliefs. Moreover, Hameroff and Penrose believe that consciousness, or what preceded it, has always existed in the universe, at least before the so-called Big Bang, which started our cosmos. And this is not an abstract assumption. The fact is that Roger Penrose is also known for his other important scientific discoveries. Together with other scientists, he studied the cosmic microwave background radiation, which was left after the Big Bang. This radiation contains information about the origin of the universe and its development. It was here that strange phenomena were discovered. They looked like waves diverging in concentric circles. Scientists have established that these waves originate outside of our time and space. Their source can be anything, including God. It is possible that there is an afterlife in this area, where souls return after the death of the body. It is interesting to note that in the first version of the theory of quantum consciousness, it was presented to the scientific community at the end of the last century. But even those who viewed her critically were unable to seriously refute her arguments. Of course, this theory still cannot answer some important questions, such as what happens to a soul whose earthly journey was unexpectedly interrupted without the possibility of returning to the body. Or what will happen to her if, for some reason, she fails to gain the necessary experience. However, the explanation of these points is now a matter of time. Since the most important work has been done, the scientific base has been summed up, it means that sooner or later, we will get answers. Now only a complete blind person does not see how science and mysticism are finally merging together, getting rid of various ridiculous prejudices. Surely they will soon become one, as they should have been originally. At least quantum physics claims to be the field where this can happen. Every year, discoveries in the field of quantum physics bring us closer and closer to unraveling the deepest mysteries of the universe, including questions of life after death. Scientific research shows that the universe, like our consciousness, is much more complex than we could ever imagine. The information structures that underlie matter can be linked to quantum processes, controlling our reality and even life and death. This opens up new horizons for understanding how the universe works and how the soul participates in this process. We are on the verge of great discoveries that can not only explain the existence of the afterlife, but also change our perception of life, consciousness, and time. While science is still trying to solve these mysteries, one thing becomes obvious. Scientific progress does not reject spiritual concepts, but, on the contrary, finds ways to confirm them. Modern research in the field of quantum physics can become a bridge between science and spirituality, helping people to take a fresh look at issues that have traditionally been considered exclusively religious or philosophical. Perhaps in the future, we will be able to see how sciences such as physics, biology, and psychology merge with spiritual teachings to provide a more complete and integrated understanding of what a person is and what his role in the great picture of the universe is. Write in the comments, what do you think? Will scientists eventually be able to solve all the mysteries of the afterlife and prove its existence? Dear friends, thank you for watching my video to the end. If you liked it, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's very important. Thank you, and have a nice day.